All right. You just, if you were watching, you maybe got like half of a second of Doc rocking out to the air guitar to John's high school favorite punk rock band or whatever that is. But if you're listening, welcome to the Prospect Warehouse podcast. And in this episode, we've got a different take because we've been going through the teams, top 20s on the teams. This time, we're going to talk because Doc and I took part in Eric Cross's tool shed. So we're going from the Prospect Warehouse to the tool shed, the mock. So Doc and I, we were in a mock with 15 industry people, prospect expert types. And if you want a very good introduction to everybody who was in that mock, I suggest you listen to Eric's episode on the mock that just came out the other day on the Toolshed podcast. So go check that out. He has a nice little intro for everybody, talks about everybody, and kind of goes into a lot of the picks, where in this podcast, Doc and I are going to be basically focusing on our picks in this mock draft rather than the thing in entirety. So go check out the Toolshed podcast to see the whole thing in entirety. And then also you can go on Toolshed's Twitter or X or whatever, and he posted like a round by round thing that goes like and talks about each guy that's drafted in each round and whoever Eric thought had the best value in each round. So if you want to go round by round, you can check that out. But we have here Doc at Doc Eisenhauer and me, Tim Kanak, at Fantasy Ace Ball. What's going on, Doc? Besides the air guitar, besides the Miles Michaelis transformation that is going on here.
Yeah, man. The stash is slowly coming back. It takes a little while, but by the end of the month, it should be full form. I need some Just for Men. You never know, but it's coming in light feathered. So yeah, man. The one thing about that mock draft is that I just don't understand how Cross could get it so very wrong with his best values. Like if it was me, I would have just said that Doc had the best value every round. It's just weird that he got it wrong so many times. It's funny. Like, and then the one time he gave me best value, I was like, oh, actually, I don't know if that's the one, but okay, I'll take it. Man, here's the thing. Like, I have been so busy, but this was a great honor to be invited to this. Some great guys in this, some great industry minds. So I was like, all right, well, time to knuckle up and get on my prospect game once again. So it was kind of a trial by fire. A few names here that aren't on either of our teams. You got actually one of them, but man, there was some crazy values here. It's really interesting, this part of the off season, where the values that we're going to see today are not going to be the same thing you're going to see like on season open by the time the season opens. So like values will shimmy and shape. And frankly, the FYPD guys, I'm not even really aware of I haven't dug fully in, and I know I can't be the only one because I know FYPD guys were going at what seemed to be a bit of a discount in this draft.
You better get ready because we have in our 30-team league that we're both in an FYPD draft coming up, and I have like 16 picks or something.
I got like
I've been doing this offseason is acquiring draft picks in this thing because I have no minor leagues. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna start this from scratch because my minor leagues completely suck. So basically, all I do is cut everybody and trade everybody, and get as many picks as I can. So like, I'm totally in on this FYPD season this year just because of this one league. Because I'm like, I have to completely revamp this entire team in one draft.
6 rounds. 6 rounds, 30 teams. That's 900 draftees. Am I doing math right?
I don't know. Dude, it's too late.
6 times 3, that's 180.
360. Wait, yeah, 450. 450.
450?
Right?
I said 6 times 30?
30 times. Oh my God.
No, that'd be 180. No, dude, my brain is so fried. I told Tim, he said, how are you doing before this? And I said, not good, man. I'm a little tired. 6 times 30.
Yeah, 180. Yeah, dude, it's too late for math. You know how much math I've done today? I had to figure out like radial metal roofs. Like I'm doing like equations. I saw a roof.
It is 180. It's
we're going behind the scenes. I saw a roof today that is a radial, and so I'm doing the math like with the circle thing, trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to bend these panels to this degree? And I'm like, this is such a pain in the ass. It's like I'm charging so much money for this roof. Totally, like a round metal roof. Yeah, totally charging a lot of money. If you have a dome or radial metal roof that you want me to do, I'm going to charge you a lot of money. I'm just telling you right now. It's a pain in the ass. Doing the math.
Noted.
Yeah, noted for when you buy the Hippodome or whatever. Whatever your government salary allows you to get, Doc. So let's get into this thing here. I'm going to show on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, go watch it on YouTube so you can actually see. I'm showing you the behind the scenes of what the actual draft board looked like. This is a screenshot from the actual draft room that we all took place in. So pretty cool behind the scenes thievery here from me from Fantrax. But anyway, I picked second in this mock, and Doc, you picked 14th. So basically, we were on complete opposite sides because
this is nice. This is nice. Yeah,
kind of cool how I'm on one side, you're on the other, and so we're gonna start. And the way that we're gonna do this is we're gonna start with Doc, and we're gonna go over his first 5 picks. Then we'll go to my first 5 picks and bounce back and forth. And we'll give each of us a little bit of time to talk about these 5 and like the value we like, maybe our favorite of the value in the 5, and any other notes that we're gonna talk about on these guys. And if you want me, Doc, to bring anybody up on John's thingamajigger, then you just let me know, and I'll bring their stats up on John's thing so he gets nice and happy when he listens to this or watches this. So top 5, you have number 1 in the first round, you picked Colt Emerson. Coming back in the second round, you picked our boy Tommy White. Third round, Eli Willits, who it's interesting. You keep going to the Willits well. I think you're just like a Willits fanboy at this point. You got our boy Carter Jensen in the 4th. Love that. And then Justin Crawford, which is actually like not much of a Doc pick. So I'm actually a little shocked on the Justin Crawford in the 5th. But those are your top 5 picks. So why don't you go in and talk about some of those guys?
I mean, just like from the bird's eye view, I love looking at where they went overall. So Colt Emerson has kind of fallen out of favor, right? So this was a darling not too long ago. I think he's barely a teenager, or he just turned 20. I feel like he's still 19. It feels like he's been young forever, right? Because he was young when he got drafted. So this is a guy who hits the ball hard despite not belting tons of home runs, but the power ticked up this last year. It's sketchy that he's in Seattle, right? It's not great for home runs. He's gonna have to run more. I think he's gonna be faster than and better than Cole Young at stealing bases. Cole Young is not the same prospect. I know they have similar-ish kind of names, but Colt Emerson is someone who's just like a good, really solid, pure hitter, and I think that's hard to find. And that provides a solid floor. Like, he's going to be a major leaguer, and I think he's going to be a really good one. He just seems like he's got that board. He's got the same kind of vibe as a Walker Jenkins right now, in my opinion, where just they're almost people don't want to pick them, but you have to. I kind of felt that way. Walker went 11th, so just a few picks before. Then we moved on to Thomas White, not to be confused with Tommy White. Actually, there is a Tommy White. Let's not say that. Thomas White. 17th overall. I wasn't thrilled. I love so many like dart throws with my pitchers late. I like going later with pitchers in these, prospect mocks. But, we were told kind of simulate how you'd build a dynasty team. And frankly, just Thomas White is so good. Like, he's on the precipice. He's got proximity. He's the best non-debut pitcher. And, I love Andrew Painter, but he's overtaking him pretty handedly right now. He's a lefty. So it's really just nice. He's, again, put on 30 pounds of muscle. No one seems to really talk about 210 to 240. Eli Willits going at 44th overall. I think that's a number that sounds right, but I think it's going to creep up a lot. If anyone's going to be the next Connor Griffin, Connor Griffin's Connor Griffin, so I don't think he's going to be that. But if anyone's going to kind of have a meteoric sort of rise, I think it's going to be Eli Willits. He's so young. He's still 17 years old. Like, he's so young. And I saw him in Fredericksburg, probably adding to my bias. But when I saw him, he was just making loud contact all the time, looking like a man out there among, even though he was a boy, very much. Like, I think he's still really, does it say his age on this page?
He was 17 this year. So
he's like comfortably 17.
Be like 18. Yeah.
No, he's like not. I think he's like really, really young. Let's see his actual age.
17.8 is what it says.
Yeah, so he'll be. Yeah, he's still got like another month and a bit before he's 18. So he played like comfortably young this year in pro baseball and held his own. Great hitting. So we'll see what happens with the other skills. Will he develop power? Like, that's the risk you're taking, right? But he's big enough. He's Oklahoma kid. Like, he's tall. He's 6'1", I should say. And you see his face. His face looks like a boy, but his play and his demeanor out there, he doesn't look immature or anything. Passes the eye test. Yeah, already 6'1", 180. I think he's got a lot more to fill out, and we'll see what kind of profile we're going to get. But if you start with that basic good hitting, you're set. And then finally, Carter Jensen and Justin Crawford. Jensen's just silly to me that he's going 47th overall in a prospect draft. Meanwhile, like, he just crushed it at the major league level.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of these like top 50 guys who are actually going to be like good players in MLB consistently. We don't know if Jensen's going to be that, but Jensen's shown a lot more. He's shown it, and he showed it in the minors and the Savant pages. The metrics love him. He hits the ball crazy hard. He's got a clear path to become the catcher starting this year, right? Salvi's going to just move off slowly and then retire. He's older and bigger. And then, Justin Crawford, he's not one of my guys, but I'm interested to see what John's metrics think about Crawford, because Crawford is Carl Crawford's son. If any of you are old like us, then he basically has a similar profile. And Carl Crawford, it was always like, oh, if only he could hit 20 home runs regularly, or he could just, whatever, do a little more X, Y, or Z. But he was always just like really solid. I'm hearing some concerns about his defense, which I don't like, but they're like, oh, he's going to have to stay in one of the corner outfields, not center field. It doesn't actually really bother me, like for fantasy purposes, because his bat's going to be so good. He's not going to be that bad in either outfield, I would imagine. But yeah, he's got like a really solid profile where he's going to probably hit for a good average, steal a ton of bases, and has sneaky pop. He's bigger too, right? 6'2", 188. He looks like his dad. And so the fact he's going again, like 74th, that's when you're forced to pick him.
Yeah. He hits the ball pretty well too. 28% sweet spot and 3.5 barrel you don't love, but he hits the ball hard. So like bad angles, hard hitting, fast guy. So I have a league, Doc, a keeper league. So I have limited keepers. And basically I have to pick in this league between Carter Jensen and Colt Emerson as a keeper. That's like my last spot. And I'm like,
that's
okay,
tough.
Yeah, it's tough for me because it almost depends on like if Colt Emerson breaks camp, I think that's my lean. But if not, then I might just go Jensen, because then I'm getting a guy who's going to break camp from the get. And there are rumors out there that Emerson is going to have a chance to break camp this year. So that's a tough one. Right now, gun to head between those two. And it's a keeper league more than a dynasty league. So you only get like 7 keepers. So it's really like you want to.
How many teams?
Here, 20 teams. Which of those two are you going?
How's your catcher situation?
No catcher keeper. Remember, only 7 keepers. So like I'm usually not keeping a catcher. But for Carter Jensen, and I've got both of them like last round. So this is one of those leagues where the guys go up, like they increase in round value 2 rounds per year. And I got both of them as last round values. So they're both like really good values, but I only have enough spots to keep one.
I hate these kind of leagues. And I cut one of my good players. I don't know. I just don't like that idea. I love dynasty, but
I know
it's very hard for me, man. Because so Cole Emerson has more upside. Like when I say that, I guess it's that he's got the 5-tool upside theoretically, right? But Carter Jensen, like he's there now. Colt Emerson sounds like he's going to get a shot this year. Oh. I go Carter Jensen. It's more of a sure thing. Yeah. It's more of a sure thing. And with that and that includes prospects, right? That 7 keepers.
Yeah, you only get 7 keepers total on your team.
Just go with another prospect next year. Heck, Cole Emerson, what happens if he goes up, struggles, comes back down? That prospect shine's gone even further, right? You get him next year, or he'll go into the draft, right?
Yeah, he'll go back into the draft. Someone will probably pick him way earlier, so he won't have the same value. Like someone will probably pick him in like the 14th round or something like that, so he won't have the same value anymore. Yeah, that's what makes it tough. But yeah, I'm leading Jensen unless Colt Emerson breaks camp. Like the good thing is that usually we draft like the day before the league starts in that league, so I'll probably just like wait until the last second. I can't to see what happens. So my top 5 picking from the 2-hole. I picked I wanted Connor Griffin, didn't get him. I got Kevin McGonigal too, which like really not much. That's a no brainer. Like really not much to talk about here. McGonigal is the top points league guy, best hit tool in the draft. Not the power speed combo that a Connor Griffin would have had, and that's who I would have picked if I had the choice between the two. But McGonigal at number 2 is kind of like a no brainer. Second round, I went with Caleb Bonneberg. And you and I are both big Bonnemer guys. And I'll tell you, I was listening to James Anderson's podcast, and he was like, Bonnemer in the second, I wouldn't have done that. And I'm just
Really?
like, what? Yeah, that's what he said. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, Bonnemer is so good. I feel like
He
he
was
is
live
so
streaming like
underrated.
the mock or what?
No, he was not live streaming it, but he was. He did a podcast
That's
in with
crazier. That's
Owen.
crazy that he went back like and like retroactively, like just like he's intentionally calling you out. I love that. I hope
Yeah.
I want to get called out like that.
Yeah. He's just like, I don't know if I would have done that in the second, but like, I love Bonnemer. Look at these. I mean, like, I don't know. I love it. Like his F scores are phenomenal, 100 and above across the board, power, speed. And my favorite part of Bonnemer's profile is his quality of contact. Like this guy, he's running 77, 78% contact, which is okay, but he has a really high air pull. We don't have the stats up in front of us right here, but for whatever reason on this page, it doesn't have it. But he has a really high pull rate and a really high fly ball rate. So he is getting a lot of contact that could turn into a lot more power as he ages. Like right now, he's like big time doubles. And I feel like it's going to translate to like 30 homer power with like a really good plate approach, like Gunnar Henderson type plate approach from the right side. I'm just a big Bonnemer fan. I thought, like I think Bryce Rayner was picked in front of him, and I'm like, wait, like I know Rayner got hurt and everything, but I love Bonnemer. I don't like what do you think about that value there with
I
Bonnemer?
think I'm looking exactly who's picked around him. So Savage picked right after. It's like we have recency bias, so we'll forget that for now.
Yeah.
But Waldschmidt, I don't like Waldschmidt, Seth Hernandez, Jonah Tong, Tolley, Culpepper, Sloan, Joshua Baez. I would have taken over your Beavers pick, but that's a separate story. I like your pick. I think it's good. 100%, man. Yeah, no, Bonnemer was a great call there, and yeah, he was certainly in my queue. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So number 3, I went Dylan Beavers, who actually that round, Eric Cross gave me best value. So nana boo boo, Doc. I mean, I love Baez.
He's always been a Beavers guy.
Yeah, the upside on Baez is crazy, but like, yeah, so have I. I've been like the Beavers guy. I feel like this year, Dylan Beavers, he's in the majors, his WRC plus. So I've been doing my dynasty rankings the last few days, and I was looking at like outfielder dynasty rankings, and I just sorted by WRC plus on Fangraphs, and he was like top 10. I mean, like it was a small sample size, but he was like top 10 in WRC plus in the whole majors out of outfielders. So I don't know. Like I'm a huge Beavers guy. 4, Nate George. 5, I got Murakami. So, which is really interesting. I think I got the first international guy in the whole draft. I'm going to pull up on our screen here, remove that, put that. See, I'm getting better at this. I'm getting a little John-like now with this smoothness of this stuff, right? So Dylan Beavers, real quick, like I know I talked a lot about him on the podcast, but an almost 90% zone contact, 83% contact, 105.4 90th EV with almost a 112 max. So he hits the ball hard. He makes a lot of contact, and he steals bases. I don't know what there isn't to like about Beavers. I mean, like he's also huge, 6'5", 206. Looks like Kyle Tucker at the plate. I just think Beavers is super underrated because he's not going to be a 50 steal guy like Baez, but I feel like he's a lock. I just feel like he's very, very safe, like really high floor. And he's like not just a floor guy though. He's really good as a floor guy. I feel like he's like a floor 2020 guy, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's we'll see what his power really is, but yeah, it might be like a 17-25 guy, which is still like really good, right? We'll see what his future holds. I think he's a fine pick. I just like the upside of Baez there, but I do think you're right. He's underrated. I think he might have been I don't know if he'd be available next time. That's why you're in a tricky spot with these, with this 15 teamer here. You don't know if he's going to come back to you, especially when
he wouldn't have, because Eric said he was going to pick him.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, well that's validating. You don't need my validation.
Yeah, I still wanted Baez though. I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping he was going to come back to me before Nate George, who was my next pick. Nate George, F scores love him. So I was kind of high on George. I think I had him ranked like 100, like 105 or something in my last update. And then as soon as John programmed my F scores for the minor leaguers. Like, it came back, like, if you're watching, you could see 105 hit, 105 power, 103 discipline, 152 speed. Like, they just blew up. Like, he's just a freak athletically. So I'm a huge Nate George guy now. Like, I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I like him, but I was like, he has a high BABIP. I don't know if I can trust what he's doing. He had a lot of caught stealings. Like, you and I always look at caught stealing. But the thing is, the reason his speed score is still so aggressive, because we subtract out points for caught stealing. The way the speed score works is it's taking like sprint speeds or home to first, whatever we can get a read on. And it's also combining stolen base percentage. So what we're doing is, how many times do they attempt to steal when they get on base? How many times are they successful? And how many times are they caught stealing? So the more aggressive they are on the base paths, the higher the speed score is going to be, but they still have to be successful. If they're caught stealing, then it's a negative. It's a negative to that score there. So 152 speed score is still really, really high. That's like not quite like a Victor Scott, but it's, the next rung of athlete down. So pretty high on Nate George. Number 5 is Murakami. Murakami coming over from Japan. Murakami hit like 50 home runs in Japan. I think that was like 2 years ago. And he also is, this last year, had a 210 WRC plus as a 25-year-old in Japan this season. He only played in 56 games because he was hurt, but he had 22 bombs in 56 games. Just an absolute tank. This dude is huge. He hits tanks like he's basically like the Japan version of Eric Sim, where he's just going to hit tanks. And he's going to strike out a lot. So that's the one knock on Murakami, because Murakami had a 28.6% K rate in Japan, which is kind of like unheard of for like Japanese guys are usually like 6% K rate. And this guy's like almost 30. So it's going to be interesting to see what he is when he comes to the majors. Like, the dude's going to hit tanks and he's going to strike out a lot. So there's people out there who are like, he's just going to be a Crash Davis, right? He's going to be Crush Davis, come over 50 bombs, but he's going to strike out and hit 200. And then there's people who are like, maybe he's going to be more like a Matt Olson. And I don't know. I think he's just going to be kind of his own thing. It'll be interesting to see, because I feel like also one of the things is these guys who come over from Japan, they're seeing very professional pitchers. And I feel like the transition is pretty smooth for hitters. I feel like most hitters, when they come over, strike out less when they get to the majors than they did in Japan, because the Japanese pitchers throw in the zone more than the American pitchers. But is that just like me making that up? What do you think, Doc?
You could be making a lot of things up.
No, nothing else on Murakami here.
No, I mean, I know, but I know that he's a wild card, man. You never know with these guys. It's like, if once Yamamoto came over, I'm like, I feel like they're overvaluing this guy. I grew up in a lot of these overseas pitchers. They just couldn't stand up to the American game. I mean, even a guy like Ryu, he's always hurt, right? I'm like, just Bai Young Kim, remember these guys? And so
yes,
I'm like, okay, Ohtani's built like a tank. I mean, even then, he's like, he can't really stay healthy as a pitcher. But Yamamoto, first season, he got his shoulder messed up, and I was out. I actually traded him in our salary cap league. I had him as like a very cheap contract. Yeah, I got Trey Turner and Alec Burleson in return, which sounds funny after this World Series, but like those are valuable. Well, I have to win a championship, or else it's a bad trade.
Yeah, kind of. All right, so your next 5, your 6th pick, you picked Charlie Condon. 7th, you got Callan Moss, who I know is your boy. But I think you probably could have waited a few rounds and still got him. But I know he's your boy. 8th round, Brock Wilken. 9th is Daniel Egan, and 10th is Joseph Sullivan. And Egan and Sullivan were those were the top 2 guys on my queue, and you got both of them. And I'm like, oh, of course. I was like, those are total Doc guys. Of course, he's going to grab those 2 guys right when they're like at the top of my queue. So I would have got those guys if you didn't, if that's some reassuring news for you. But what do you think about this group? I like this group. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'll try to speed run this one a little bit faster. We're stacking time if we're going to get through it all. But yeah, I just looked here. I'm like, okay, who do I have so far? I'm missing the power bats. This is a power bat tier, especially the first 3 picks of this segment here. Callan Moss, Yeah, I got him at 104th. He's a top 100 prospect pretty easily to me. Like again, like you look at his numbers, he was like looking really, really good. But like, when's that raw power gonna convert to game power? And then he hit like 7 home runs in 20 games as a Pirate prospect. I'm like, okay, whoa, like, and he's hit the ball hard. We know this, so it's not my fault. He's underrated. I don't care, right? Like if I try to treat it like a real dynasty. I don't want you getting him. I don't want to run the risk of someone else believing in the 6'3", 225 like young gun, and he's going to be mashing in Connor Griffin if all goes well. So yeah, I'll pick him, and I got Brock Wilken after that, which you could have flipped the 2 there, I guess. I skipped Charlie Condon there, but he was 77th overall. That was my first answer to not having a true power bat. Carter Jensen probably is, but catches are just weird, right? So first real regular hitting power bat was Charlie Condon. Double down because we don't know what's going to happen with him, but he'll probably hit bombs. He's got high risk, but then all 3 of these guys, one of these guys is going to work out. It's funny though. This is actually interesting. Charlie Condon, Callan Moss, Brock Wilken. I actually feel the most confident about Callan Moss as a major leaguer because he's proven to be more of a actually consistently really good hitter. Whereas the other guys definitely have more freakish strength, whereas Callan Moss is just strong. Brock Wilken, not really been hitting for average at all, but his OBP is through the roof. Like 400 OBP and things like that. Last year was quietly a rebound year. Then he got hurt again. Just like this guy. He was celebrating and he twisted his knee or something. This guy getting black. He's just had bad luck, which honestly feels just like God is testing him, and we'll see how he responds. I see you got Brock pulled up there. Yeah. And then the last 2, a couple of my boys. Yeah. Daniel Egan and Joseph Sullivan. 134 for one of the best pitching prospects out there, and then 137, Joseph Sullivan. At one point, before he, the struggles at AA really ramped up right after I posted. At one point, I said he looks like he might be. As of right now, he's looking like a top 20 prospect for me, like he could be. And he's not a top 20 prospect for me right now because the struggles got pretty bad at AA. But it's like nobody seems to be willing to give the kid a first year in pro ball kind of no one's willing to give him that runway to maybe develop, maybe take some time. It's very just bizarre to me. It's baseball. I guess you guys are they're in football mode. I don't know what they're thinking, but sometimes it takes a little time. And the skills he's flashing, this patience to really take a walk, to steal a ton of bases, and then the ability to steal bases and hit home runs like that. We'll see what happens. It's not like he's a sure thing. That's why I got him at 137. But I think Joseph Sullivan has some of the highest upside out of any prospect, really.
Yeah, he's the F scores love him. 116 power, 96 hit. That's okay, below average, but you'll take a 96 hit, like a slightly below average hit score with a 116 power and a 120 speed. So that's saying he's 16% above the average hitter power, 20% speed, and then 19% discipline. So that's a really good play. Basically, this is he's not the same guy as Spencer Jones, because Spencer Jones is way taller and stuff. But I feel like he's a better version of the same skill set that a Spencer Jones could be, right? Of the power, speed, maybe a lesser hit. I think he's just a better version of that.
Well, his grandfather was a Heisman winner, so he's got the genes in there. He came into the draft supposed to be a hitter and a speedy defender type of guy, and then he just started showing power and cranking balls in the combine. He was up at the top of the class. So yeah, it's a lot of upside, and people don't want to believe. That's fine. Let him come to me.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. Number 6 for me, I got Eduardo Tait, who is a dude that we have talked about a ton. So I don't think we need to get back into him. He is 18 years old. He was 18 this year, and he kills the ball. He crushes it for an 18-year-old. So I love him, and he's a catcher. Number 7, I got Logan Henderson, which dude, how does Logan Henderson, who was amazing in the majors this year, fall this far in the draft? This is picked 120 or something like that at this point. 7 times whatever, 7 times 15. What is that? 100 something, past 100. How does Logan Henderson fall out of the top 100? I don't get that. I feel like I just got ridiculous pitching values in this draft. Number 8 is Tyler Bremner, who was the 2nd overall pick in this last draft and will probably start for the Angels breaking camp next year. Number 9 is Owen Murphy, who I love. and 10 is Hagen Smith, which I think it's hilarious that Hagen Smith fell to 10 just because people are concerned about his control. This is basically like what Mizurowski was doing last year. And Hagen Smith also has had a very, very good fall league. So I'm going to pull up right here.
Yeah, I actually did not
pictures
know.
up on the board
That
here.
was one of the guys where I'm like, God, he was available. I'm stupid. Like I just figured he's so good. How could he possibly still be there? There's a few pitchers. There's 3 pitchers that really fell far here. They should further than they should have. And so, I mean, Daniel Egan, I love him, but I feel like I could have. I mean, apparently I couldn't have. Apparently, if I went Hagen, you probably would have taken Egan. But
yeah, I love Egan. I mean, he's a beast. But look at Logan Henderson here. Really good scores across the board. Yeah, he ended the year hurt, but he was really good last year too. Henderson is just super underrated. I'm gonna pull up Owen Murphy.
he's a 2-pitch guy. Is the problem?
Yeah, but both pitches are, if both pitches are 65, 60 to 70 pitches, that can work. I mean, Spencer Strider made 2 pitches work for a while. Owen Murphy, look at this, a 1.99 JA ERA, which is Sierra. 113 stuff, 117 control, 108 FERA. He had what was his whip this year? I got John's whip plus here. He had an under 1 whip. It was like a 0.8 whip or something like that this year. And I know he only pitched a little bit because he's coming back from TJ, but he's a beast. He has a fastball that has a close to 20 inches of induced vertical break. So Owen Murphy is a ton of fun. He's my number 1 Atlanta Braves prospect. And then who is their other one here that we want to talk about? Ms. Bremner, Hagen. Let's bring up Hagen here. Hagen Smith, a 118 stuff, 86 control. Yeah, bad control, but guess what? In fall league, he has looked much better on a control basis. I think this is just a matter of this guy figuring it out. The stuff is top notch. Like his stuff is number 1, number 2 stuff. So if he gets the command, then he's going to be a beast. I think there is no reliever concern for Hagen Smith at this point. I think it'd be crazy to put a reliever tag on Hagen Smith, who was a top 5 pick only a year ago. How does he fall this far in this draft is crazy to me. But yeah, Hagen, crazy value. You got anything else on these guys before we move to the next 5?
Nope.
All righty. So we're going to move. We need to go to this one. Next 5 here. Oh, no, we got to go to this one. Next 5 here is going to be Brock Burke for you at 11. And 12 is David Shields. Is that the one that you got your little award from Eric on? Was David Shields?
Yeah, which was funny. Because it was like we'll talk about it, but I mean, this is the round. Noah Schultz went 170 something. He went the same round. I didn't realize that Noah Schultz's discount would be that high. So I was like, let's go get my guy. I got the guy who I would have taken Noah Schultz over him, but David Shields. I'm not sure if it's a value, but 167. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the next like Sikora, Thomas White kind of vein. He's crazy good. David Shields. He's pretty young too.
His command is insane. And then you have here also Aiden Smith. That's actually a really good
value.
13. That's a really good value.
Dude, that one was so funny. You say what you're going to say, but make sure it's about Aiden Smith.
Yeah, Aiden Smith at 13 is insane value. He was a top 150 prospect for me easy. 14, you got Kemp Alderman, who I saw a lot last year. I think I saw him for like a week this year for whatever reason on the Marlins. And then you got Ben Hess in the 15th. That's also insane value. So I think you got some really good values this time. Aiden Smith and Ben Hess are my favorite though, not Shields. I'll tell you out of those 5. So go ahead.
Blake Burke is just like, I guess, overcompensating. Now I got my power bats. My first basemen are out the wazoo. It's kind of a funny situation there. He's very similar to Callan Moss, actually, if you look at their profiles. Both very good, both very underrated. Blake Burke is going to be a dude. Like a pretty safe bet, in my opinion. Very powerful. In college, he was known as like one of the most powerful bats. It's like, well, now he can hit well. What are we doing here? And so, how are the scores? They don't like him that much, huh?
Yeah,
why is 98 power?
Yeah, well, remember, we don't have exit velocities for him. So basically all it's reading when it comes to power, it's going to be reading ISO, home runs, and it's going to be reading angles. So it's going to be like, is this guy hitting pull fly balls? That's going to translate to more power. So if he's not getting into good angles, it's going to ding him. But also, he was really good at AA. and his high A year 114 ISO. So that's gonna ding him because he was at high A the majority of the year, and when he got to double A, he just completely went off.
which is
So like,
good.
and
Yeah.
115. So he had over 400 at bats at high A, only 5 home runs. 159 at bats in double A, 11 home runs.
This is
So
very similar to
he just
Moss.
went off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in fact, he should be more than Moss because he did it at double A anyway. But I got him later. So David Shields, yeah, he's got great command, but like there's upside there with the strikeout stuff too. He was drafted as a 17-year-old. He was very young a couple of years ago. Aiden Smith at 194 is preposterous when this guy was a top 50 prospect 5 seconds ago. And he wasn't even as bad as you think he was. The strikeout rate's a concern for sure, but he's young enough. There's time to make a move on it. He's just so fast and he's strong. And yeah, at 194, you take the gamble. You know what I'm saying? Kemp Alderman is interestingly enough, he's been able to. He was supposed to be like the most powerful guy kind of deal again, but he's doing enough. He's not showing a great OBP, but his average is good enough where like, okay, do we have a Jake Berger type? Is he going to be a better hitter than Jake Berger? Like this guy could be
Jorge Soler.
Yeah, maybe that's a better comp.
Look at this average EV, 95 mile per hour average EV and a 110.9 90th EV. These are and 114 max. Those are ridiculous exit velocities.
All you need is like an okay hitter. All you need is okay average.
I've seen him a decent amount in person, and I've always thought he reminds me of like a righty Jock Peterson, but a righty Jock Peterson is almost just Jorge Soler. So
that's what do you think about his
arm? Go with? I haven't seen him throw so much, but in the outfield, he actually moves pretty well. He's not. I don't think he's going to be a DH at least when he's younger.
That's a big part, man. That's actually big.
Yeah. He moves pretty well, and you can see his zone contacts aren't as like you see his contact right now, 68%. But if you look at his zone contact, 83.5 zone is not that bad. So it's just like there's a gap there where you almost just say, yo, dude, stop chasing and you're going to be fine. Because you make contact when it's in the zone. So just chill on chasing outside of the zone. Like work on that because you're hitting the crap out of the ball and you hit the ball well when the ball is in the zone. So just cut the chasing. That's what you need to work out this offseason. Go find Brandon Nimmo and be like, yo, Brandon Nimmo, I will pay you half of my rookie contract if you just teach me how to take like you. And then you're good.
So the last guy's Ben Hess, and yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. I just knew these starting pitchers would be there with upside shots later on, and here we are. I have some catching up to do if you're paying attention here. That's Thomas White, big gap, Egan, then like a young kid in Shields, and then now Hess. So now I got to start getting my pitching ramped up. You'll see that in the next few rounds.
Yeah, I bet Hess is a steal.
224. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a steal. So me, 11th round, I got Devin Taylor. I love Devin Taylor. 12th round, Jefferson Rojas, which I thought was crazy value. A 20-year-old shortstop who was in Double A this year. Really good in high A, struggled when he got to Double A, but that happens sometimes with these guys. I'm not concerned because he just turned 20. Not that big of a deal. I'm going to spend a little more time on Devin Taylor in a second. 13th round, I got Quinn Matthews. It's like
I didn't know he was available.
Yeah.
That was the last guy.
I got so much ridiculous pitching value in this draft. In the 14th round, I got Rhett Lauder. And all these guys are like going to pitch. They're all going to break camp. Like my whole pitching staff's breaking camp next year. So like Quinn Matthews, 13, Rhett Lauder, 14, both ridiculous. And then 15, Edgar Montero, who was like my deep cut for my Dominican guy. A bunch of Dominican guys were going off the board in those couple of rounds. And Montero's my favorite Dominican guy. So I wanted to make sure I grabbed him. Outside of Josue Gonzalez, by the way, he's my favorite Dominican guy. So I talked a lot about Quinn Matthews. We talked about him last pod, so I don't really need to go too much into him. Rhett Lauder, on the other hand, I'm going to pull Rhett Lauder up here on the scores because he did actually pitch. I think he made like 2 or 3 starts or something this year in the minors, and then he was supposed to go to fall league. I don't know if he's there or not. But 101 stuff, a 120 control, 103 FERA in his little minor league stint here as far as F scores. Oh yeah, look, he only made one start, so I mean, or what's the point? I guess he did pitch back in May in the minors, but Louder at the 14th round in this draft is pretty crazy because we're talking 15 people. So this is around pick like 300, or like close to pick 300. I'm getting Rhett Louder, which is crazy. And then we're gonna go backwards here because I do want to talk about Devin Taylor. Devin Taylor went to Indiana. And this guy should have been a first round pick. How he was not a first round pick is crazy to me. He had in a small sample size, 128 plate appearances, 6 bombs, 2 steals, 391 OBP, 876 OPS in the minors this year in A ball. And at Indiana, this guy was a 3-time starter or a 3-season starter at Indiana. And at Indiana, he had 16 home runs as a freshman, 20 as a sophomore, 18 as a junior. And this last year, 18 home runs and 12 stolen bases as a junior. And he had a 19% walk rate with only an 11% K rate and a 374, 494, 706 slash. So, like, I don't know how this guy, like, I thought he was for sure, like, should have been locked, in my opinion, to be a first rounder in this last MLB draft, but he didn't. And I think the A's got phenomenal value on Devin Taylor as a second rounder this year. And talking about the A's again, I got Edgar Montero. Edgar Montero is a shortstop switch hitter who walked more than he had strikeouts with power and speed, 6'2" guy. So nice build. And in DSL, you want to find guys who do not swing and miss a lot, and he doesn't swing and miss with power and speed. So Edgar Montero, big DSL shortstop for the A's. So I got a couple A's here in this grouping. You got anything on these guys, Doc, before we move on to the next 5?
I think I'm good.
All right. So let's bring back the chart, get the right one on here. And your next 5 in round 16, you got good old Drew Thorpe coming back from TJ, which under these circumstances for this draft, all they had to do is have not 50 innings pitched, which I could have sworn he was there, but I think he was like right under, right? Was he at like 48 or something?
44, I think. Yeah, let's take a look.
Right under. And then you got Jensen's future backup here in Blake Mitchell at 17, which I like Blake Mitchell a lot. You got Cole Drake at 18, classic Doc guy. That's one of your favorites. Then you got Brody Brecht from Colorado. I actually really love Brecht. The only thing I don't like about Brecht is the fact that he's going to be pitching in Colorado. And 20, you got Luke Sennard, who's a really, really underrated name that we talked about when we did the Braves top 20. So why don't you dig into these 5?
Yeah, so Drew Thorpe just incredibly, again, patience will win out. This guy was a stud coming out of the minors, a top prospect. And again, he actually came in and I don't know if I would say dominated, but he had like a 5-game stretch of just quality starts churning it out. He's looking like prime Michaelis out there, big on the mound. You know, his fastball, we'll see. It may never be the greatest, but he was able to make it work for a good stretch of games. And then he blew up a couple times at the end, and he went out and had to go get TJ. And it's like, is no one willing to like maybe consider he was playing hurt for the last couple of games? Is it possible? I don't know, right? Like everyone has just decided this guy's brutal and no good at all. And so 227th for a former top prospect who like has basically done nothing to drop off other than get hurt, as far as I can tell, and have bad back of the baseball card numbers if you just completely forgot that he was good for a second. No, man, that's good bounce back territory. Blake, and I probably could have got him later, to be honest. Like everyone's forgot about him, but I wanted him. Blake Mitchell, a lot of prospect shine loss here, but he's still hitting the ball so hard. You know, the scouts love him. Callan Moss, when I had him on my Dynasty Dingers podcast, which seems to be in purgatory or maybe never coming back. But we had Callan Moss on there, and he was telling me Blake Mitchell, that's the best player basically he had played with to that point. That was before Connor Griffin. He said he would just call a home run and just hit a home run. He's just a stud. Cole Drake, not similar, but similar. This is all kind of a similar vibe right now, though, falling into values, right? So Cole Drake was surging up lists, I think, or at least getting some notice. He was involved in a big trade last year, the Merrill Kelly trade, I believe. And so he went to Arizona. And he was cruising. And then Well, AAA was giving him a hard time with the Rangers, and they gave him even a harder time in Arizona. Well, I mean, gotta remember he's playing in the PCL. I don't know. And we've talked on this podcast before about how, ABS can be an issue. So he's a bit of an older prospect as well. He went to small school. He's always had an uphill battle. This is nothing new for Cole Drake. I suspect he'll overcome it. He's got good stuff. 257. That's a crazy deal. I'm very happy to have him there. And then I'll just touch briefly at Brody Brecht. Crazy stuff. I believe he got comped to like Skeens. I think Skeens comped him at one point, or someone comped him to Skeens, and like it became a thing people did in terms of pure stuff. Maybe he ends up a reliever, but again, we're nearing pick 300 at this point, and just gambling. Luke Sennard, I actually feel much more confident about at 287. Yeah, his numbers are really good, and he's super underrated and a good at work with Atlanta Braves. So knowing that he's with the Braves, he could easily be up next year, which are just crazy. But he's an Indiana product too, I believe.
Yeah, I like getting proximity pitchers too. I know it's a mock, but like that's why like I was focusing on like all these like later I got these younger pitchers or whatever, but I feel like the majority of the pitchers that both of us were getting were guys who could debut next year. And I think that matters because with pitchers especially, there's so much injury risk that like yeah, I love Johnny King and like Kendrick Chorio, and these guys are all really fun. The A-ball pitchers who can throw 100 or whatever, or like do cool stuff. But like I'd much rather get someone who's doing that at AA or AAA, where they're closer and you're more likely to get value before an injury occurs. Because with pitchers, it's not really like if an injury will occur, but more when will the injury occur, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's why another reason I wanted to wait on the pitching prospects.
Yep. So the next 5 here for me, I grabbed Wei and Lin with 16. So I have, very athletics heavy for me here in this little spot. We've talked a lot about Wei and Lin. I'll pull him up real quick on the thing because he does have some crazy numbers here. So let me pull him up, which is way easier to do when you're talking. So Wei and Lin here, 123 F stuff, 132 F control, 106 F ERA. He has like the best F scores of any pitcher, 204 JA ERA. And I'm pretty sure his whip was also under 1. And he had a 17.8% swinging strike rate on the season, which is one of the top 5 in swing strike rate in the entire minors. And he made it to AA. This dude was from Taiwan and made it to AA in his first season in pro ball, though he was pitching more kind of like a relief capacity or like more like a 3 or 4 inning type capacity towards the end of the season to limit innings. Number 17, Dante Nori. This is a guy we have not talked about yet on the podcast, so I'm going to bring him up. I like Nori a lot. I saw him a lot last year and this year in Jupiter because the Phillies make their home here in Florida State League. And his hit tool is insane, Doc. This is like I'm surprised Ross isn't really high on Dante Nori because he has a 109 hit score, which is. I
remember this guy coming out of the draft. He's like an Italian grinder.
Yeah, look at he had a 91.2% contact rate in AA, 91% zone contact on the season, and 82.6 contact on the season. And he's also aggressive in the zone. So this is a dude like where the EVs are kind of like 100.7 90th is not good, but he does have a 109 max and an 87 average EV. So I feel like he's going to get to better EVs eventually, but his contact is so high. Like this is not really the high quality contact guy, but he's going to get a lot of hits just because he's so aggressive and he makes so much contact. And he's also fast. So it's like, if you get like a little, maybe like worse hit, but faster version of Jacob Wilson, that's pretty cool, man. And he's an outfielder, but like same, or like, I don't know, like a Stephen Kwan.
Yeah, right? I was gonna say that's a weird comp. I don't know if he's Jacob Wilson, but
maybe he's an outfielder, I guess. So I guess, and he's short, so maybe Stephen Kwan would be better. Maybe like not to the extent because Stephen Kwan is like crazy good plate skills, but maybe like a lesser version of sweet Stephen Kwan. You'll take that. So
maybe where's the stolen bases here? Is it not on this page?
No, I've been trying to get John to add stolen.
How many bases did he steal? Do you know?
So, I'm gonna bring it up right now.
What if he's like a Durbin?
Unfortunately, I have to pull up Fangraphs because John, this is why you need to add this: 52 stolen bases and 10 caught stealing.
Yeah, Derb.
Yeah,
He's a
nice. I
grinder.
like that. A Derb.
Derb's Rookie of the Year candidate. Smashing this bottle. Dude, do you understand? He should win.
Outfield Derb. He's
Do you know
not
that?
gonna win.
Do you know that Derb's got the nomination today? You saw that?
Yeah, right when I saw that, I literally thought about you. I'm not even joking.
I
That was
haven't posted
my first thought is like, oh, Doc's gonna be happy, right? That was my first thought right when I saw that.
You pick him though, right? He's your pick.
No,
Who's your pick?
sorry, no, he's not.
Who's your pick then?
Oh man,
There's
putting me
still
on the
only two
spot
other
here.
guys.
Who else is there? I'll tell
Cade
you.
Horton and it's probably someone else. Doesn't matter.
You got to pick Horton over Derb. Horton
Why?
was so good down the stretch. His
Well-
ERA, what do you have, like a 1.85 ERA in the second half or something like that?
Yeah, well, Durbin had a 105 grit plus metric.
Grit
It was Drake
plus.
Baldwin.
All right, number 18, I had Weehaiwa Aloy, who won the Golden Spikes Award, and he's had a pretty strong fall league here. I keep seeing highlights of Aloy. I like Aloy. 19, this is a dude I love because I'm Team Japan and I'm Team Oakland Athletics. 20 is Tommy White. So you get Thomas White, I got Tommy White. But 19 is who we're going to talk about here. Dude, I don't know. Japanese for me. Let's give this a shot. Tatsuya Am I 27-year-old starting pitcher? He'll be 27 when he comes over. This guy throws a backwards slider, Doc. He throws a slider that cuts the wrong way. And yes, it's insane to watch. I actually posted it on my X whenever I drafted this guy.
How does that make it? Does that make it not a slider anymore?
No, they call it a wrong way slider because Japanese guys are allowed to invent pitches. They're the only ones. They're basically the Nikola Tesla of pitching, which is why you have a ghost fork and why you can have like all these weird ass pitches that they invent and bring over. But we're not allowed to do that. It just gets classified as a slider or curve. Only Japanese guys can invent pitches. But he invented the wrong way slider, which is absolutely insane when you watch it. And this guy had a 20.7 K- walk rate this year, a 192 ERA, a 0.89 whip, only 7% walk rate with a 15.4 swing strike rate in Japan. Like he was just dirty. And this wrong way slider, you just got to look it up sometime. The wrong way slider is a ton of fun. If John was here, I'd make him do it, but I'm not good enough to control the thing and also run the pod at the same time. So, Doc, let's get to your next 5 here. Big name coming over from Japan, fun guy. We are here now. Your
52 minutes
pick,
in.
Yeah. Your 20th pick is Yoho. Your 21st pick, sorry. 22nd pick is Gavin Cross. 23rd, George Walco, who I like a lot. And I'm a Cross guy too. I'm still a bit of a Cross believer with you. 24, Noble Meyer. I love that pick. Going for the big time value there because his stuff is still good. And 25, Victor Figueroa with the Baltimore. So why don't you put a minute or two on these 5 guys here?
Yoho is a boring pick, but he's like he doesn't have the big velo, but he's got good stuff. I saw him play in Nashville. Actually, I went to Nashville and I went to a baseball game. No one does that, but then I went to waltzed on over to Music Row after. We were good. Saw some steel guitar. Craig Yoho, boring pick there again, trying to mimic a bit of a real dynasty, right? I think he's just a really good safe arm there. Going to be a top-notch reliever, especially in that Milwaukee org. Gavin Cross. So he's a guy who I've been on and off over the years. 7th overall pick, I believe, at one point with the Royals. And he just had some weird runs, man. He had like it's called something Valley fever. He got bit by a tick. Rocky Mountain fever. It was something dumb. It was like a weird thing. He like almost died.
You told me about that before.
Yeah. It's like, this is why you got to dig beyond the stat line sometimes. I love scout the stat line, but you also got to scout the ticks. Tick line. See if they got the circle. So yeah, he was just like damaged. And then he's just been like, and then also you're a prospect, so you're going to have struggles anyway. So so I checked his line out because not a fantastic line. I'm like, let me just check it out to see, because I always want to know. Because near the end of the season, if a guy's been starting cruddy and he's got a sketchy past, people will sometimes they'll stop paying attention to the prospect. So I always want to see, is he turning a corner toward the end of the season? And Gavin Cross was. If you cut it off, it's like, I don't know if it's the second half or most of the second half. He was batting like 300 with like a 400 OBP and rocking bombs and stealing a ton of bases. I'm not sure. Are you able to pull up those kind of splits here or not? Any the game dates?
Yeah, we
So
can. So we can move the slider. Let's
don't
pick
do it
like
that far back. We don't even have to go like halfway even. Yeah, like whatever.
8-1, August
Look,
1st.
he's crushing it.
Yeah. 865 OPS through that time. 296, 346, 519.
Go even further
Oh,
back. Let's go halfway just to be fair, so we're not seem like I'm trying to cheat here.
I'll do 710. I think that's like
Even
halfway.
that's pretty good,
286,
considering.
yeah,
Yeah.
286, 348, 507 slash.
But you
So
clearly
yeah,
got
really
really
good
hot at
second
the end,
half.
though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, so he's got that's the tool set he's had for a while. He's big. He's like 6'1", 220 or something like that. He's good. So underrated. I spent a lot of time on him because no one really talks about him, and I'm going to be hyping him up again. Wolkow, people are off him because he's been around for a couple of years now. Despite him being, he was like the youngest eligible you could possibly be. I think he's still 19 years old. But yeah, I would say Wolkow. He's like 6'7". He's got freakish power. Now he's stealing bases. He's only 19, and yes, he's got a 30% K rate. That's actually a lot better than his 40% K rate. So he's actually making strides. It sounds funny, but really, you want to see the strides, right? Nova Meyer, too good of a value at this point. 347th overall. What are we doing here? Like, yes, I understand the command's risky. Maybe he just becomes a really good reliever, but he's so good that you take a gamble at this point. Figueroa, we're kind of like forgetting that the Orioles can develop really good bats. Like they can, even though it's been annoying lately. He's 6'5". I think he's like 230 or so. So he's pretty, 240. And he's a lefty. This is a good bat. He struggled a bit, I think, after his promotion. Yes. But not like, yeah, it's a small sample size. He's young. He's a fun little gamble here. Again, we're at the 350 mark. And so 374 for him. No, he's much higher than that. I mean, this is a guy who could really break out. I think he was kind of breaking out in a big way. We'll see if that power can tick up in terms of like game power from raw power.
Yeah, he missed the first half of the season. He only played in the second half because he only played in 89 games total this year and had 12 bombs and 7 steals with a 146 WRC plus in half a season. So this is actually really nice value here for Figueroa, Doc, because he's hidden. Because if what people are going to do who are like not, in it like we are, like obsessed, they're going to just pull up who has the most home runs on the season in the minors or whatever. They're going to pull up who has the most steals, and he's not going to be on any of those lists because he didn't play the first half. So you're going to completely miss him if you're looking at like bulk stats for the season like that. So I actually really like that pick there. Let us get to my next 5 now. So we're going to go to this one here, which my next 5, we've got Danielle Ortiz at 21, who I'll dig into just a tad. We talked about him in the Cardinals pod, so I'm not going to spend too much time on him. Sammy Staffer at 22, who got traded to Pittsburgh from the Reds. I'm a big Staffer guy. I've seen him a lot too, being here in Florida. 23 is Colton Ledbetter, who had a kind of an underrated year. Bedwetter.
He got that. He got that in grade school endlessly.
Bro, this should be a guy you love because he went to Mississippi State, and I know you love your.
Yeah, he went to Mississippi, and his name was Bedwetter. Yeah, this guy was.
Oh yeah,
he's a tough guy. That's a boy named Sue.
24 is Winston Santos, who was hurt the majority of the year and came back to the end of the year. And then 25 is Welbin Francisca, who pissed Owen off when I picked him. Owen got mad that I stole Welbin from him, which I'm actually really surprised Welbin Francisca made it this long in a draft that has Ross Jensen in it. No. Because last year I feel like Ross Jensen would have like sacrificed one of his children to have Welbin Francisco on his fantasy teams. So real quick here, we're going to go to Danielle Ortiz because I like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I talked about him during the Cardinals pod. But Danielle Ortiz, super underrated dude. This guy has really, really good quality angles, and he hits the crap out of the ball. 96.5 average EV, 105.2 90th, 106.8 max ain't too great. But when you're average and your 90th are that high, that means this dude is just so consistent. And air pull is also really high for him. 61% fly ball rate at high A at the end of the season. That's crazy. His only reading is his second half here because I pulled the pulley thing. So let's pull it back here. There we go. Yeah, that's a little more realistic at 20% air pull on the season here. So Daniel Ortiz, I'm a big fan of. And then Ledbetter, I'm going to pull up real quick because one thing to remember is that what league are they playing in? Colton Ledbetter played in the Southern League this year. He spent the whole season in the Southern League and had only 5 home runs. So you're going to be like, what the heck? This guy sucks now. When last year he was much better. But when you're playing in the Southern League, everybody has a low home run total. And so what the F scores do is that these F scores are all averaged back against the average player at the levels that they're playing against during the time period that we're measuring. So Colton Ledbetter here, the 102 power, because what we're doing is we're showing that everybody in that league sucks when it comes to power, and he's just a little bit better than that. So he's not as bad as it looked as far as season. Next year, he'll be at AAA, so I think there's a little bit to look forward to with Ledbetter next year. And Winston Santos missed a lot of the season. So this is almost like my Figueroa pick, where he missed a lot of the season. He was really good last year, comes back and pitches a few starts at the end of the year. He's one of my favorite Rangers prospects, Winston Santos. So let's now go to your next 5 here, Doc, and we can pull up this thingy here. And so your 26th pick was who was that? Sorry, my thing is so small.
Anthony Nunez.
Anthony Nunez, then Jackson Baumeister, then Maximo Acosta, who actually ranks really well in my F scores. And then man, I cannot read this.
Josh
Hartle, 29 and 20. Oh, you got my boy Ramon Ramirez at 30. So let's just finish it out at this point. You might as well go all the way. Then you got Sal Frank. I like that. Walters and Owen to finish out. So I like this. Let's talk about some of these guys here. Let's round out the rest of your draft.
Okay, Nunez was actually like kind of annoying because I like Tyson Neighbors more, and he just went right before that. It's getting sniped on relief prospects, but Nunez is actually underrated. He's doing similar things. He's looking like an absolute unit. I read something about him not even pitching until pretty recently. I guess he was hitting instead. But yeah, Nunez, he's a freak. They got a couple of really good bullpen pieces coming up. Anthony Nunez and Tyson Neighbors. So I like getting at least one of them. Jackson Baumeister, this was my breakout guy. I was calling him the next Sakura, the next Thomas White. And I wasn't just me. Scott White was big on him. There's a couple of us who were getting on the Baumeister train.
I liked him too. I was a fan last year.
So I'm not out. Again, I don't just like you get more than one bad season, especially if you're a prospect. So it hurts, but you had to have held. I mean, you could have sold off the fumes early on, but it got really bad, right? But again, I kept saying he's not like he's going from elite to like mediocre. He went from elite to incredibly bad. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. There's something probably physically going wrong here. I want it to be in the middle. I don't want it to be so bad he needs TJ, but I want it to be bad enough that it's explaining what's going on here. And so, yeah, if you pull him up, can you go ahead and do like since like August 1st?
Yeah, let's do it. August 1st.
Whatever, yeah.
Boom. There we go.
A little better.
Yeah, August 1st, he had a 14.6 K minus walk and 12.8 swinging strike rate over that time span.
Yeah, so he was like significantly better, and he got it last down the stretch. He was again showing signs that he was getting healthy and pitching well again. It wasn't 100% beautiful, but it was definitely what you want to see. And at 4-4 overall, you're like, yeah, dude, what are we doing? Maximo Acosta, yeah, I stumbled into this guy. I had to write an article for Prospects Live. I had to do the Marlins, and I learned about this guy by force. And he's actually really good. He's 22. He played this year as a 22-year-old. He might be 23 like today. I think it was his birthday this week, something like that. Anyway, he super young. Already like his Savant page is okay. It's interesting. And you look at his minor league stats, you're like, oh, this guy can like hit home runs and steal. Like he's kind of got a well-rounded versatility there, and he also plays a few different defensive positions. He's super sneaky, and no one seems to care about him. So I honestly maybe could have waited longer, but he's so sneaky. You said, and just like we'll move. I'll just skim through the last few guys after this. But I want to see on him.
Acosta had a 38% sweet spot percentage in his major league sample size with an 81.7 zone contact, which is good. I mean, it's not great, but it's good. So like okay contact rates, and he hit the ball hard for a minor leaguer. 93.5 average exit velocity. So you were not joking on the StatCast stuff. It's all there. And I noticed this when I was doing some of my dynasty rankings. I was like, man, and it made me remember back. I went to the Cardinals versus Marlins futures game in spring training this year, and they had Acosta hitting lead off on that team. So they had him like right in front of Agustin Ramirez and Davis and De Los Santos, and like some, like Augustine had a really good year. And because they had him leading off, that made me think, okay, they really think highly of this guy. Like, they're not like, they have a pretty nice minor league team. You're not going to have like some guy who's just like a depth guy or whatever leading off in this futures game. Like, you're going to put someone you actually really like. So that made me think like, oh, okay. So Peter Bendix actually really likes Acosta. So that's something interesting to note for like depth reasons in fantasy.
Yeah, and real quick with these guys, Hartle, he just won like best pitcher in high A Midwestern League or something like that. He's a kind of a fan favorite. I know he was getting some cheers early on in the or midway through the fantasy season. Ramon, so 434 is crazy. Everything here is crazy. Ramon Ramirez, kind of high upside raw ability, started showing some big power earlier last year. Ended up being just okay, but he's still young. Coming from the DSL, he's showing some polish slowly but surely. Sal Frank is ridiculous. Like I think it's kind of just like a glitch because maybe people don't remember he's a rookie here, but because he's 28 years old and he finished the year as the Diamondbacks closer pretty much, right? So getting him as the 464th prospect, okay, we have a guaranteed. No, not guaranteed. He's a weird guy. He's a soft tosser. I believe he's a lefty. And so, yeah, I actually auto-picked Andrew Walters, but he's underrated, so I guess we'll talk about him. Him and Franco Ailman went undrafted. Don't forget about those two in Cleveland. Walters was looking really good, but he got hurt last year. Hunter Owen, though, that is a sneaky pick. He was on my radar when he came out of the draft, just like this big body innings eater, but you look at what he did last year, like, okay, there's something here. They got a little pitching factory that's starting to go. And I remember just a few years back when it was like Brady Singer and that was it. It was just like, it was a joke. The Royals were the pitching joke of the league, more or less. Like they just couldn't do it, right? And I guess that was in the middle of them busting up with Asa Lacy and all that.
Yeah. I'm a fan of some of these, like Ramon Ramirez. I'm going to pull him back up here.
Yeah.
I like Ramon Ramirez. Look at this. The F score is absolutely.
He's got a way more than 180. He looks like a little mini Vladdy or something. He's like chunky.
Yeah. I mean, he's a catcher, so a nice catcher build. I love the Ramon Ramirez pick. I actually don't know how he fell so far. I think he was on my queue when you picked him. And I saw Sal Franks. That's interesting. So we'll go to my final here. I had Luis De La Torre. It's my 26th pick, who I think De La Torre is super underrated. I'm going to pull him up here real quick because he only pitched in A-ball, I think. I want to confirm that real quick. But 130 F control, 227 JA ERA. The dude, you could see lefties kind of hit him, though. 465 JA ERA, which is Sierra for minors, versus 155 against righties. So that's pretty interesting. But at the end of the season, he had a really nice end of the season here. 25.2 K minus walk rate for Luis De La Torre with the Giants. Number 27, this is another guy who's super underrated. And I think that I read today that he is not on the 40 man and needs to be added to the 40 man for the Rays. But that's Jadher Arenamo. F scores love this guy. 103 power, 107 hit, 110 discipline, 106 speed. So like above average across the board here for a middle infielder, 21-year-old. Like nothing really mind blowing, but he's just a solid above average guy. And like you said, like we're trying to build a team here. So not everyone's going to be a superstar, and sometimes you just want some depth guys. 28, I got Caden Bodine, who was the first rounder for the Orioles, one of their first rounders this year, who's a true catcher, switch hitter, had a small sample size with like an 85% contact rate in the minors. So you like that. 29, another Oriole. I got Griff O'Farrell at 29. He's a hit first guy, speed guy, shortstop. Really no power there, but really good hit tool, a lot of speed. 30, I got Kyler Fedko. who I thought you were a Fedco guy, so I actually couldn't believe that Fedco made it this long. I know, yeah, he's 25, but he was in AAA. He'll probably be up early. And he had 28 home runs and like 38 steals or something this year, which is insane. So yeah, I mean 25, but he was really good and everything under the hood looked pretty good for him. So F score is 99 hit, 115 power, 111 discipline, 110 speed. So kind of surprising to get Fedco there. 31, I got Nick Samillo, who is a first baseman for the Orioles. I mean, for the Pirates. So this is what's interesting. Samillo was a catcher and he's played mostly first this year, but he's been playing with Kalen Moss. And then the Pittsburgh also has Esmeralda Valdez. So like I'm really curious what they're going to do with the situation because the Pirates are going to have like a bunch of like corner first base guys between Samillo, Moss, Esmeralda Valdez, and Flores even too, all playing the same position, and they're all like close to the majors. So that's an interesting situation to watch between all those guys.
Looks
And
like
see where they all
Valdez
play.
can play outfield.
Yeah, which is good. And maybe Samillo is maybe they put him back. And like he I think he only played like 6 games or something at catcher this year, not enough to qualify him. Where last year he was primarily catcher and they moved him to first. So I don't know what they're doing here. I love my last 2 picks. I got Michael Lombardi with my 32nd pick and Tanner Franklin with the 33rd. So Michael Lombardi is a dual sport guy out of, I think, Tulane, if I have that correctly. And now Kansas City drafted him to be a pitcher only. This guy throws 97 miles an hour and has measured up to 22 inches of induced vertical break on his fastball. And so this is a guy who was a primary reliever until the very end of the season in college. And then they started starting him and he was really, really good. And I love this. I love when these guys come over who are dual sport or dual position, outfielder, pitcher, whatever. And then all of a sudden they move from being a two-way guy to like focusing on one thing. I feel like those guys always have a nice jump. Like we just saw Nolan McLean do that. So obviously he's going to be the poster boy. But Lombardi's fastball alone is a lot of fun. And then 33rd, I talked about Tanner Franklin a lot last pod, so we don't need to get into him. You can listen to the Cardinals pod, but the dude hits 101. He averages 97, can hit 101. And he's also has like 19 to 20 inches of induced vertical break. So 2 really good, fun fastball guys to close the draft out here for me. So Doc, all in all, how do you feel about this draft and your team? Like, where do you feel strong at, and where do you think you need to like work on as far as like team building or whatever on the offseason here, if like walking away with this team?
Honestly, feel pretty good, pretty well rounded. I mean, it's ridiculous because they're all prospects, so it's like, yeah, are we really competing with these guys? It's a weird thing. I'm pretty happy. Again, if I had to do it again, I'd be putting in my queue Schultz, Hagen Smith, and Matthews. And folks, if you're listening, if you made it through this long, you probably figured it out. But this is where you can take away value, right? Like again, we're playing with people who are influencing the industry, right? With their with their podcasts, with their articles, with their tweets. So like this is a good preview of where things are right now. And something I would note though is like what your picks you made at the end there are just they're not going to be there in a few months because people are going to start figuring out who the FYPD guys really are. I'm going to learn what they are. I'm going to talk about them like I've known them all along. Things like that. So it's FYPD. Those guys, they have the bigger risk because there's so many outcomes, right? Like they could just completely be not working out, or they could just be, oh, whoa, they're that good. Like you just never really know. So, and they're at the very least, they're not priced in at this point. So yeah, especially the prep kids come out with
looking back, Willits was your only FYPD, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know the FYPD, so
yeah, that's the one that you came away with.
It's a good one to come away with.
Yeah, for sure. And then I only had. It's pretty interesting. I had the 2 Japanese guys, so I had. I guess I had Bremner too. So I had Murakami, Tyler Bremner, and then I had MA, and then until my last 2 picks. Then my last 2 picks, I had Lombardi and Franklin. So I only had 5, and you only had won. So
Yeah,
I think we were probably on the lighter side of the FYPD guys compared to a lot of the people.
yeah, and that's
in this
actually
draft.
making me think that maybe that's another thing. If you do a dynasty startup, because I love a dynasty startup that does a pro side and then a prospect side. That's actually really good because it just prevents. I'm not sure if we talked about that with John. We can talk about that offline, but we're going to be doing a brand new startup dynasty. I'm sure it'll end up on this podcast. But it's really smart to do an MLB draft and then a prospects draft, so you don't have teams that are just completely tanking for 5 years. You know, everyone's forced to compete right away, basically. I will say this: this mock is great for that kind of startup. And it's interesting, the philosophies, because you have to wonder, well, how did a Hagen Smith, how did a Quinn Matthews, how did Nola Scholes, how did other guys all fall so far? It had to be from people maybe gambling too much on the FYPDs, on the DSL guys, because it doesn't make any sense. How do some of these vets, these guys who are like clinging onto the rookie status, how did they fall? It's because they're not shiny toys anymore. So
Yeah. Or a bad season or a partial bad season or whatever. And then that does the trick for
those
some
FYPD
people.
guys, that's going to happen 2 years from now, right? Then they'll come down. You can buy them cheap then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I think we had kind of similar team builds where we built strong teams that are well-rounded, and we weren't just focusing on like picking the best guy necessarily. I mean, like most of the time I was picking who I thought was the best guy, but also I did take into like some team build stuff to it, right? Like I waited until round 7 to draft a pitcher because I was like, I had a good feeling. I was like, I think some of these guys are just going to fall. I'm just going to watch this.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. So I waited till round 7 to pick a pitcher, and then I went off. Then I picked like 6 or 7 pitchers at really good values who were like double triple A guys. So it's like, yeah, I think that's something to watch. If you're in a startup, people are going to get really excited about the hitters, and pitchers are going to probably have better values in that type of draft. So I think that's definitely something to watch. And I think that this year's FYPD has a lot of very interesting pitchers who you can get at a really good bargain later. So I would recommend, if you're in an FYPD, I know like we have all these really good college arms that are top heavy with your Kate Anderson and your Liam Doyle and Jamie Arnold and these guys. But I feel like there's so much pitching depth from the college ranks that you can get later in an FYPD, like how I do with Lombardi and Franklin here at the very end of this draft, that you're probably better off trying to get some of the top hitters with your first couple of picks and then wait on some of the pitching values instead of going for your Kate Anderson or whatever. That's just a little takeaway there. You got anything else to add here, Doc, before we close this out?
No, I'm sleepy.
All righty. That's it. Doc's sleepy. He lost the energy. No more air guitar. Air guitar is gone. I'm the only one doing it now. Yeah, now he's air banjo. So he got Doc on X. Follow him at Doc Eisenhauer, and you can follow me at Fantasy Ace Ball. Thank you for watching, listening, however way you watch this. I recommend watching so you can check out all the cool stuff. Got a lot of nice graphics here. So it's a lot of work for me to put the graphics and talk at the same time. So please, give me some props for doing that when John's not here. It's a lot easier when John's here to press all the buttons for us. Makes my life a lot easier. So peace out, everybody. We'll see you next time.